Hi everyone, and welcome back to the English podcast. The podcast where we help you unlock the courage to communicate in English and connect with the world. I'm Olivia.
And I'm James. We are so excited to have you here today because we are diving into a topic that so many of you have shared with us, the fear of speaking English.
Oh yes. This is such a big one, James. I think anyone who's tried speaking a new language has felt it. That little voice in your head saying, what if I make a mistake? What if people laugh at me? What if I just can't find the right words?
Totally. I mean, I even feel that fear sometimes, and I'm supposed to be fluent.
You? Fluent and fabulous.
Well, thank you. But seriously, it's a universal feeling. So today, we're going to explore where that fear comes from and share some simple, practical ways to start overcoming it.
Before we dive in, if you're listening to this and you've ever felt nervous, embarrassed, or even frozen when speaking English, just know you're not alone. This is something almost everyone experiences. And James, you're going to love this. I found a really interesting study about this.
Ooh, hit me with it.
So, a 2023 survey by a language learning platform found that 70% of people learning English said speaking was the scariest part. That's more than writing, reading, or listening.
Wow, that's huge. But it makes sense, right? Speaking feels so immediate. There's no backspace or delete button like when you're typing.
Exactly. But here's the thing. The fear doesn't just come from the language itself. It's often tied to deeper worries, like how we think others will judge us or even how we judge ourselves.
Yes. And that's why this topic is so important. Because once we understand why we feel this fear, we can start to break it down.
Okay, so let's start with the first step. We'll call it naming the fear. James, do you want to explain what that means?
Sure. Naming the fear is all about figuring out what exactly makes you nervous. Is it the fear of making grammar mistakes? The sound of your accent? Or maybe you feel like you don't know enough vocabulary?
Right. And this step is so important because when you name your fear, it becomes less scary. It's like saying, okay, I'm not just scared of speaking, I'm scared of pronouncing words wrong.
Exactly. And once you know that, you can work on specific solutions. For example, if pronunciation is your fear, you might practice with a friend or use language apps to focus on sounds.
It's like shining a light on something in the dark. Suddenly, it's not so big and mysterious anymore.
So, listeners, here's your first action step: grab a notebook or open a note on your phone. Write down 1 or 2 specific fears you have about speaking English. Be honest, no one's going to see it but you.
And if you're feeling brave, share it with us. You can message us or comment. We'd love to hear what you're working on and cheer you on.
Absolutely. So, let's jump into our first strategy: start small, speak often. Olivia, I think this one is a game changer.
It really is. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting until they feel completely ready before speaking English. But here's the truth, you're never going to feel 100% ready.
That's so true. Confidence doesn't come from being perfect, it comes from practice. And starting small means taking tiny steps that feel manageable.
Exactly. For example, you can start by practicing just 1 sentence a day. Maybe you say, "Good morning," to a neighbor or order your coffee in English.
Yes. These small moments build up over time, and the more you do them, the less scary they feel.
Here's another tip: try practicing with people you trust. Maybe it's a friend, a family member, or even a language exchange partner online.
And don't forget, technology is your best friend here. Apps like HelloTalk or Tandem connect you with people who are also learning a language. It's a great way to practice in a low-pressure environment.
Speaking of low pressure, that brings us to our next strategy: embrace mistakes as part of learning.
Oh, I love this one. I mean, how many mistakes did you make when you first started learning Spanish, Olivia?
Too many to count. I once told someone I was embarazada, thinking it meant embarrassed. It actually means pregnant. You can imagine their reaction.
Oh no. But see. You survived. And honestly, mistakes are such a natural part of the process.
They are. Think of it this way, every mistake you make is a step closer to fluency. It's like a little sign saying, hey, you're learning.
Exactly. And here's a fun fact for our listeners, did you know that studies show people are actually more likely to like you when you make small mistakes? It makes you seem more human and approachable.
That's such a great point. So, instead of fearing mistakes, try to embrace them. Maybe even laugh at them.
And if you're not ready to laugh yet, just remind yourself. Nobody expects you to be perfect. Most people are just impressed that you're trying.
So true. Okay, James, let's give our listeners a quick recap of today's strategies so far.
Sure thing. First, start small, speak often. Take tiny steps, like saying one sentence a day. And practice with people or tools you trust.
And second, embrace mistakes as part of learning. Remember, mistakes are signs of progress. And they make you more relatable.
That's right. So far, we've talked about naming the fear, starting small, and embracing mistakes. And now, it's time for one of my favorite strategies, the power of preparation.
I love this one too, James, because preparation is something anyone can do. It's simple, but it can make such a big difference in your confidence.
Absolutely. Think about it, when you prepare, you're giving your brain a little roadmap to follow. Instead of feeling lost or overwhelmed, you have a plan.
So true. And preparation doesn't have to take hours. Even 5 minutes of planning can boost your confidence.
Let's start with one of the easiest ways to prepare, practice common phrases for everyday situations.
Yes. Think about the situations where you're most likely to use English. Maybe it's ordering food, asking for directions, or introducing yourself.
Once you've identified those situations, you can prepare a few go-to phrases. For example, if you're ordering food, you might practice saying, "I'd like a cheeseburger, please."
And here's a bonus tip, keep these phrases somewhere handy, like on your phone or a small notebook. That way, you can review them whenever you need a little confidence boost.
Love that. Another way to prepare is by practicing aloud before real-life conversations.
This one is so underrated. Saying things out loud helps your brain and mouth get used to the words. It's like warming up before a workout.
Exactly. You can do this in front of a mirror, with a friend, or even by recording yourself on your phone. And don't worry if it feels a little awkward, it's all part of the process.
And you know what else helps? Visualizing success.
Oh, I love this one. Visualization is such a powerful tool.
It really is. Here's how it works, close your eyes and imagine yourself speaking English confidently. Picture yourself smiling, using the right words, and feeling calm.
This might sound simple, but studies show that visualization can actually reduce anxiety and improve performance.
Yes. It's like giving your brain a sneak peek of success. And when the real moment comes, you'll feel more prepared because you've already practiced it in your mind.
Let's not forget another key part of preparation, learning to ask for help when you need it.
Oh, yes. This is so important. Sometimes, we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect that we forget it's okay to ask for help.
Absolutely. If you don't know a word, you can say, "I'm sorry, how do you say this in English?" Or, "Can you repeat that, please?" Most people are more than happy to help.
And asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign that you're trying, and that's something to be proud of.
Definitely. So, let's do a quick recap of today's tips.
First, practice common phrases for everyday situations. Pick the scenarios you're most likely to face and prepare a few sentences in advance.
Second, practice aloud before real-life conversations. Warm up your speaking muscles by saying things out loud.
Third, visualize success. Picture yourself speaking confidently and calmly. It can really make a difference.
And finally, ask for help when you need it. Remember, no one expects you to know everything, and it's okay to ask questions.
James, I just want to say how inspiring it's been to hear from our listeners. So many of you have shared your stories with us, and it's a reminder of how brave and determined you all are.
Yes. Speaking of stories, Olivia, can I share one that really stuck with me?
Please do.
So, a listener named Priya from India wrote to us about her experience. She said she used to feel completely frozen whenever she had to speak English at work. But she started using some of the tips we've talked about, like practicing common phrases and embracing mistakes, and she told us she recently gave a short presentation in English.
Wow, that's amazing.
Isn't it? And you know what she said at the end of her message? She wrote, "I still feel nervous, but now I also feel proud."
Oh, I love that so much. Feeling nervous and proud at the same time, that's what growth looks like.
Exactly. And that brings us to our first tip for staying motivated: celebrate your progress, no matter how small.
Yes. Every little win matters. Did you introduce yourself in English today? Celebrate it. Did you watch a movie and understand a few words? Celebrate it. These small victories build your confidence over time.
And celebrating doesn't have to be fancy. It can be as simple as saying, "I did it," or treating yourself to your favorite snack.
I love snacks as a reward. And that ties into our next tip: surround yourself with positivity.
Oh, this one's so important. Learning a language can feel tough at times, so it's crucial to have people, resources, and environments that lift you up.
Definitely. That might mean joining a supportive community, like a language exchange group or an online forum. Or it could mean following inspiring language learners on social media.
And don't forget to be kind to yourself. Talk to yourself the way you'd talk to a friend who's learning English. You wouldn't say, "You're terrible at this." You'd say, "You're doing great, keep going."
That's so true. Our next tip is make it fun.
Yes. Learning English doesn't have to feel like homework all the time. Find ways to enjoy it.
For example, you could watch your favorite TV shows in English, listen to music with subtitles, or play games in English.
And here's a fun idea: try keeping a journal where you write one sentence a day in English about something you're grateful for. It's a great way to practice while focusing on something positive.
Oh, I love that. And our final tip is focus on connection, not perfection.
Yes. At the end of the day, language is about connecting with people, not about getting every word or sentence perfect.
Exactly. When you focus on connection, you realize that most people don't care if you make a mistake. They're just happy you're trying.
And the more you connect, the more confident you'll feel.
So, let's do a quick recap of today's tips.
First, celebrate your progress. Recognize and reward every step forward.
Second, surround yourself with positivity. Choose supportive people and resources to keep you motivated.
Third, make it fun. Find ways to enjoy the process, whether it's through music, TV, or journaling.
And finally, focus on connection, not perfection. Remember, the goal is to communicate and connect with others.
Before we wrap up, Olivia, do you have any final words of encouragement for our listeners?
I do. To everyone listening, remember this: learning English is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to your goals. You are brave, you are capable, and you are enough just as you are.
That gave me chills. And I'll add this: don't forget that you're not alone. We are here for you, cheering you on every step of the way.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. If you found it helpful, share it with a friend who might need some encouragement too.
And as always, send us your stories, questions, or even just a quick hello. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, keep speaking, keep smiling, and keep shining.
You've got this.